guys want to talk about?
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Happy Tuesday. Good to see everybody here again today. Had a quite eventful night of Raw last night. We had CM Punk making his decision as to where he would be. Great main event with Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura. Jey Uso getting yeet back. And so much more. Big Boss Man Jeff is in the house. What is going on? Welcome to Monday Night Raw recap. Good to see you, bro. So the show started out with main event Jey Uso coming out, and he welcomes us to Raw. Talks about how he was able to get yeet back. Talks about CM Punk and his big decision tonight. He talks about Sami Zayn getting injured and that he hopes that his Uso gets back soon. And he begins to talk about his match with Drew McIntyre for the evening, and Drew comes out. And Drew says that he doesn't want Punk in the locker room. There's a bunch of people in the back that don't want Punk in the locker room. And he takes a poll of the crowd because he tells this story. And, you know, if somebody you knew was attacked in front of their family and their friends, you'd want to get revenge, right? And everyone's like, yeah. And it's like, well, that's kind of what Jey Uso did to me. So you understand why I want my revenge on him. Even though Drew is walking this heel line, like he has a legitimate, valid reason for wanting to get at Jey Uso. So his heel turn and his anger and his angst is justified, even though the fans don't really realize it until he puts it like that. Got Darren G in the house. What's good? Stat Boy in the house. What's up, brother? And of course, all this leads into Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre for our opening contest. And this was just a fantastic opening match. We had some great back and forth action here. Drew and Jey really kind of brought out the best in each other, and I'd love to see this go the distance where we get a few stipulation matches down the road. You know, Drew had to get dirty to win and use some underhanded tactics, but at the end of the day, he was able to get the victory over main event Jey Uso. Sometimes you just got to do what you do, man. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. And if you're not cheating, you're not trying. We then had a Shinsuke Nakamura promo doing his speaking in Japanese with the subtitles, all that stuff. And some of it even got animated into an anime style, which was really kind of cool to see. We then had the Judgment Day backstage. And this was kind of an interesting promo because you started to feel that tension within them again. You know, you've got Damian Priest kind of as the leader. You've got the whole it's easier to call yourself a leader than to actually be a leader. You've got Dom having lost his title. And just all these tensions are arising between them. But Rhea says that she's going to put the division on notice this evening, starting with her match against Maxine Dupree. We then go to the Alpha Academy backstage, and the Creeds are there, and they're all kind of getting Maxine hyped up and ready for her match. R-Truth comes in, and he's got this spool of Christmas lights, and he's on the way to the Judgment Day clubhouse to decorate for Christmas. And Chad Gable tries to break it to Truth that you're not a member of the Judgment Day. And Truth doesn't want to hear it. Truth is doing his typical comedy shtick. Just great comedic timing by R-Truth. How this man has not been cast in a comedy movie yet, I don't know. Truth barely wrestles. So like let's legit get him into a movie and launch him as a actor because he's got such great comedic timing. And hell, with his musical background, he can even do songs for the soundtrack. I'm just saying, it's a great way to get Truth promoted and on TV a little bit more. Jeff's got a comment here. The most effective villains believe they are correct in their beliefs, and their actions are a means to an end in righting the wrongs. Drew is no exception, nor is Shinsuke. Absolutely. You've got to believe that what you're doing is for the right reasons. Otherwise, you're not going to be an effective villain. So all this leads to Rhea Ripley versus Maxine Dupree, and honestly, for me, this was just a meh match. Nothing against Maxine Dupree. I love me some mommy Rhea Ripley, but this was a mismatch if there ever was a mismatch. Why is Maxine getting a title shot so soon? Even with Ivy Nile at ringside, there's no chance that Maxine is going to win. And why is Maxine getting a longer presentation against Rhea than Natalya did? That's the shit that pissed me off the most. You go back and you look at that title defense against Natalya that lasted like less than a minute. And then this chick gets like 10 minutes in the ring with Rhea Ripley. It's like, what? Um, okay. Okay. We then had a promo video for Caden Carter and Katana Chance, and it's good to see them getting a little bit of spotlight, a little bit of a plug, a little bit of a push. We will see them later on in the evening in a matchup. And Adam Pearce goes into CM Punk's locker room. We then head to commercial, come back, and Adam Pearce is in the ring, and he introduces CM Punk. Punk comes out, says there's a huge decision to be made, but the town hasn't always been good to Punk. Punk talks about how he debuted in that building with Mickie James alongside of him and how he was set to defend the World Heavyweight Championship in that building until Randy Orton punted him and they stripped him of the title because he was unable to compete. And then walking out of that building 10 years ago, almost to the date. He then talks about the deals that were put out for him. You know, the offer that Nick Aldis made for SmackDown, the offer Shawn Michaels made for NXT, the offer Adam Pearce made for Raw, and how Pearce's deal was leaps and bounds above what anybody else offered him. So with that being in mind, CM Punk signs to Raw. And now here comes Seth freaking Rollins. And Seth welcomes Punk to Monday Night Rollins and tells him to not call it his home. Because while he's been gone for 10 years, this has been Seth's home. Seth has been the one to build this house. How him and his brothers and sisters in the locker room have been slandered by Punk over the last 10 years. And this promo very much treaded on the Hangman Adam Page promo from AEW when Punk was challenging Page for the title. The difference here, the biggest difference, is you can tell that the Hangman Adam Page promo was a shoot. And you can tell that this promo is a work. Even if there is legit issues between Seth and Punk, you know that it has been discussed backstage, and you know that they are going to be professional and work going forward. You go back and you watch that promo with Adam Page and Punk is caught off guard and blindsided by some of the shit that Page says. Punk is very prepared for everything Rollins says here in this promo. That's the difference. It was advertised as non-title, Jeff, but that's neither here nor there for my personal opinion. Daniel says the build happening for Punk versus Rollins. Take my money now. I can't wait for it. Absolutely. Emmanuel says the segment is dumb. I wish they had HBK and Aldis out there. Only seeing Pierce was obvious who he was siding with. That's a fair assessment because when Randy Orton did the thing on SmackDown, at least Pierce was out there also. Very good promo between Punk and Rollins. Agreed. Loved the segment with all the history between Pierce and Punk, the interaction with Rollins, and most important for me, the apology. Absolutely. Punk apologizing to the Cleveland crowd if they were upset that he walked out when he did 10 years ago. That was awesome. Statboy says a promo is the best if you can tell if it's a shoot or a work. Not necessarily. The best promos are the ones where you can't tell if it's a work or a shoot. But in this personal case, I feel like the worked promo is better than the shoot promo. Rollins' shoot comments in January are leading to a tremendous amount of work here shortly. Absolutely. This is going to be a hell of a feud. You know, CM Punk declares that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble, tells Adam Pearce to make it official. So we know 2 of the 30 official competitors for the male Rumble now, Cody and Punk. And Punk leaves and he says, I'll see you at the Rumble. So the question becomes, is Punk not going to wrestle until the Rumble? Is the Rumble going to be his first match back? I don't know if people are going to be willing to wait a month and a half for CM Punk's very first match. They may have to give us something sooner, even if it's just tag team action. We then had an Ivar and Valhalla / Bronson Reed promo, which led us to Bronson Reed versus Ivar. And this was just a big meaty men slapping meat match. I honestly thought that their previous encounter was better than this one, although it did take an earth-shaking superplex for Bronson Reed to get the victory over Ivar. Not a horrible match, but I did prefer their other match about a month ago over this one. Yeah, exactly, Darren. The main goal is to make money, regardless what both Punk and Rollins say. And it's too bad that AEW couldn't learn that lesson. That's fair. That's fair, Jeff. I'm okay with waiting. Punk's last match was the Rumble, so the full reboot would be complete at that point. That's fair. Didn't think about that. We then have CM Punk backstage, and he encounters the Judgment Day. And Priest welcomes him, to their show and says that he hopes that Punk finishes his story over Cody Rhodes because he will be there with his Money in the Bank briefcase. Interesting little promo, interesting little tease. We then have the Judgment Day come out to the ring, and they put Raw on notice because they feel like their grasp on the Raw brand has kind of been slipping away from them. Truth then comes out, and he's trying to talk to the Judgment Day, went to the clubhouse, blah 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 blah. And you can tell that JD McDonough and Dom are getting a little bit frustrated with R-Truth. But Damian Priest is just laughing. He's like, you know what, man? You're funny. Why don't you get in the ring here? And, Priest gives him an opportunity to hear what he has to say. And the first thing the Truth says is that he thinks that they should kick JD McDonough out of the Judgment Day because nobody likes him. And you see Finn Balor's reaction, and he's just cracking up over this. And then Truth goes on to say that he shouldn't call Priest shouldn't call himself the boss of the Judgment Day because we all know that Mommy is the one in charge. And Priest kind of laughs it off. He's like, you know what, Truth? Everybody seems to like you. A lot of people like you, but I don't like you. And Priest proceeds to beat the ever-living crap out of R-Truth to the point where the Creed brothers come out for the save. Because, of course, the Creeds are number one contenders to Balor and Priest's tag titles, which we find out that match will be next week on Raw. Statboy says this will be Cody's 11th and Punk's 9th Rumble. Okay. Not really a stat for this show, Statboy. That's a better stat for the actual Rumble broadcast, but thank you for doing your due diligence on that one. Punk then encounters Drew backstage with Adam Pearce. And he kind of gets a bit of a salty response from Drew because, he's already heard Drew say that he doesn't want him in the locker room. Drew walks off and he's talking to Pearce and he's like, hey, what's his problem? Pearce is like, I don't know. Turns around and here comes Ricochet. Here comes Chad Gable. And here's Kofi Kingston. And Kofi Kingston and Punk just have this great interaction. Punk's like, Jamaican me crazy. And Kofi's like, no, I don't do that anymore. Embrace each other. Great big hug. Because you remember, Kofi and Punk are former tag champs together. They used to be champs together. Punk shakes Gable's hand. Was like, I've heard great things about you. And he makes a comment to Ricochet. And just it was a great warm segment because, again, going back to my thing about the tag team, we know Big E is still out injured. Not sure what's going on with Woodsy because he wasn't here for this promo. So if Kofi's running solo for a minute, then it would be kind of cool to see Kofi and Punk team together again, even if it's just a short-term run until Woodsy comes back. We then had Caden Carter and Katana Chance taking on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And this was a banner of a match. This was so good. As much as I do hate on Candice LeRae, I cannot deny that she's not a great women's professional wrestler. And Indy Hartwell has impressed me over the past year as well. Caden and Katana were just outstanding in this match and really made to shine. And Indy and Candice had great ring chemistry. I know they've been a team for a while in the way, but I missed that era of NXT, so I haven't seen too much of them tag teaming. And the little bit of time they've gotten on Raw lately, they've been basically jobbers. So it was good to see the continuity that they have together. Caden and Katana got the victory with their finisher, the After Party. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green were on commentary, and we know that next week, Caden Katana are going to take on Piper and Chelsea for the women's tag titles. So both tag straps will be on the line next week on Raw. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I hope both straps change hands. Because do you know how proud I will be to see two teams from my NXT holding the main brand tag titles? So good. That's what it was. Told Ricochet that he's awful at video games. I completely forgot what the joke was because I don't watch some of the peripheral WWE stuff. So yeah, that's what it was. Thank you, Darren. We then had a DIY Imperium backstage promo, kind of hyping up their upcoming match against each other. And Gargano is telling Ciampa that he's got a great partner for them tonight. And Ciampa's like, but can we trust him? And Gargano's like, yeah, we're good. Don't trip. Then we go back to the ring, and Becky Lynch comes out, calls out Nia Jax, and they go back and forth about their history with each other for the past 5 years, going back to when Nia broke Becky's nose. And how every time they've just missed each other in a program or storyline. You know, just they've always missed. Becky got pregnant, Nia got fired, Nia got injured, Becky had something else happen to her. Like they've always just missed each other. So now they're going to get that slow build to Becky versus Nia. And are we going to get that at the Rumble? Are they going to build this for a month and a half, keeping both of these women out of the actual Rumble match? Or are we going to get it sooner than that? Because it appears that they're building to a day one Raw. We've had the WWE day one pay-per-view in the past. Pay-per-view took place on January 1st, the first show of the new year. January 1st is a Monday this year, so they're kind of building for this day one Raw. Could we possibly get this match there? We then have a Cody interview talking about CM Punk joining Raw and Shinsuke Nakamura and the fact that Stardust debuted in that building. And just this interesting history and hyping up again the match that he's going to have with Shin later on in the evening. Jeff says that he'd be down for those tag title switches. Absolutely. I think it would be some good stuff, man. Help liven the divisions up. Because what's the point of calling up talent if you're not going to have them get over? We then had 6-man tag action. All 3 members of Imperium, Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci, taking on DIY and their mystery partner, Cleveland's own The Miz, the awesome one. And this was just another tag team banger. Tag team action was on fire tonight. Miz showed his main event form. You figure that Miz kind of fluctuates here between upper mid-carder, main eventer, lower mid-carder. He's a great utility player because you can kind of plug him in wherever and he'll fit and do some great work. Being in there with Gunther and everybody, man. He really brought his A game out tonight. And fantastic match, skull crushing finale. Onto Giovanni Vinci, got the win for the team. Next segment we see is Imperium backstage, and Gunther is just chastising Vinci and Kaiser for their defeat. And the Miz comes in, and Gunther kind of laughs him off. He's like, "What do you want?" And the Miz is like, "I want a shot at the Intercontinental Championship." And Gunther tells him, "Fine, but if I win, when I win, you can't challenge for the title for as long as I'm champion." And you figure, as of today, Gunther has been champion for 550 days. Like we've already made history in the fact that he is the longest reigning champion in a single reign. He is 47 days away from passing the Miz's combined reign and 69 days, if my math is correct, from passing Pedro Morales's combined reigns and just being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, period. Like, even combined reigns can't top Gunther. I have a feeling they're going to go that route. We'll have to see. Because Gunther is just that money. Main event for the night was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Cody Rhodes. And honestly, I thought this was a phenomenal match. However, the DQ finish really killed it for me just a little bit. Cody caught the red mist to the eyes from Nakamura, which drew the disqualification and the bell. And then the Kinshasa post-match kind of added insult to injury here. Creeds come out once again for the save to help Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the All-American Good Boys, the Creeds. I'm wondering if this could be maybe some kind of team and faction that could be starting to bubble and brew here, but it was a good match. I just wasn't a huge fan of the DQ victory. That's going to about do it for Raw. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Get your super chats in. Get any other questions and comments in. I am going to do as I always do. Take just a quick little break, about a minute and a half. You're going to take a look at how you can find and follow all the friends of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse Media. And then we will show you all the upcoming special events that we have booked for open mic night, with our game show nights, our karaoke nights, and so much more. Be back in just under a minute and a half. We are back, and that is how you can find and follow everybody from the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse Media, whether it's NoDQ.com, the Greg Cherry brand, Noah Foster, James Hebert, Statboy Mike and Dory Lou, myself, Jeff Datilla. We're on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. We're on Facebook, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, you can find us at some form of social media platform. Screenshot those images, find us, follow us. Make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube channels. Turn the bells on so you can get notified anytime we drop a video or go live. Jeff says, booking day one, we've got Rollins and Drew confirmed for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther versus Miz for the IC. Rhea defending against Maxine and Rumble build. Makes perfect sense. Also says we've got a lot of good stuff on the horizon in the WWE, be it confirmed or heavily teased. Grateful for the opportunity to be a fan. Absolutely. Emmanuel says, first time DQ for the Mist, which makes zero sense since Asuka does it all the time. Exactly. Consistency, people. Consistency. Jeff says, friends of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media, a delightful group of adults that work beautifully together. Absolutely. We are a family. We are a team. And that's what the holidays are all about. Our family. And speaking of the holidays, make sure you guys tune in on December 23rd for the Eve of Christmas Eve karaoke, second annual, the Karaoke Spectacular that started it all last year. The first ever Eve of Christmas Eve karaoke, and as you all know, it has spiraled into a multi-time-a-year event like it did this year. This year we had wrestling-themed karaoke. We had British Invasion karaoke. We had Disney song karaoke. And we're wrapping the year up once again with the Eve of Christmas Eve karaoke. Josh is late to the party, as he always is. But what is going on, Mansfield? Just in time for me to wrap things up. Make sure you tune in later on this afternoon for Stat Boy Sports Bar. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. No Dory Lou today, but Jeff Meacham will be in the house, as well Zach, the fluffy Madden god. Going to be interesting to see what the sports bar has to say with all the Otani news that is occurred in the course of the past week. I'm sure that'll be a heavy discussion point. Yeah, exactly. We had grown-ass men singing Disney princess songs. And as a collective making over $500 from doing it. So yeah, let's hate on people with an opinion for that. But I digress. I'm not going to put that comment up, Josh, because this isn't a sports show. You can save that comment for Statboy Sports Bar. Make sure if you didn't see it, you go back and you check out yesterday's episode of Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, where we discussed the top 10 Christmas songs that aren't about Christmas. Jeff and I got our shit in roughly an hour. It has been so long since we have been able to get a show done that quickly, and especially about a topic that we're passionate about, like Christmas music. So if you haven't seen it, go back, watch that, like it, share it, send some super stickers and super likes for it, since you can't super chat that episode anymore. But it was a great episode. Yeah. Statboy says Otani-san is our leadoff story, and Josh says I was 10,000% surprised, even with me in the comments. It was some good stuff. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel for my review of tonight's episode of NXT. And until then, I am the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams, thanking you guys so much for having tuned in and joined me today. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.